Demonstrators in Rome have set fire to cars and vandalised some buildings during the protests being held there. Let's have a look at the scene in the Italian capital a short time ago. Police firing tear gas and using water cannons to disperse some of the demonstrators. Witnesses saying the violence was caused by several dozen radicals who had infiltrated the protest. Well, let's head straight to Al Jazeera's Claudio Lavagna. He's standing by in Rome for us. Claudio, what's the latest situation? Have things calmed down? Let's just see whether Claudio can still hear me. Clearly we've got a problem with his picture, but he might actually be able to hear me. Claudio, can you still hear me? Tell me what's going on.
The forum is quite... Yes, I can. I'm sorry, I'm here at the forum leading to the Colosseum here in Rome. It's quite quiet here, but there are reports that a kilometre away from here, there are clashes between demonstrations still ongoing, and the police, 500 protesters are trying to overturn the vans of the riot police. The riot police is answering by throwing, by firing water cannons, by throwing cobblestones, by throwing tear gas at the protesters who are answering by throwing cobblestones at them. Well, there are reports that they threw also a petrol bomb into an annex of a Ministry of Defense, that now 2 of the floors of this Ministry of Defense are on fire. A roof is collapsing. But the situation here, Felicity, is out of control. There are injuries on both sides. 2 policemen are now in hospital with serious injuries, and 2 protesters are now reported to have suffered serious wounds. Felicity?
Claudio, it's been a massive demonstration. I assume it's just a minority of people who are causing the violence. Do we know who they are and why they are protesting?
Well, this is indeed a divided demonstration. I mean, there are about 100 to 200,000 people here, and most of them are saying we came here in peace, and they are angry at the bunch of demonstrators that have turned violent, that are believed to be part of the Black Bloc, the famous Black Bloc, the hooded militants that have infiltrated demonstrations before, especially here in Italy. Well, the other demonstrators are so angry at them that just here, a few meters away from where I'm standing, they rounded up 3 of them. They were wearing hoods and they were wearing black clothes, and they handed them over to the police as if to say, look, this is not us, most of us are peaceful. Felicity?
Claudia, how long is this demonstration planned to go on for? Are they planning it for the rest of the day? Are some of them planning to stay in the capital in the same way that they have in Wall Street in the United States?
Well, yes, indeed. This is not the first demonstration that has been imitating the Occupy Wall Street. They have, all throughout the week, members of this movement have been trying to occupy, for instance, the Bank of Italy, camping in front of the Bank of Italy. So they were planning to stay overnight, but as the situation is already out of control, it looks like that it will carry on, with the clashes will carry on throughout the night. Well, they're carrying signs that are quite telling. Yes, we camp, they are saying, meaning that unfortunately they're here to stay. Felicity?
Claudia, people are clearly very angry at the current economic situation in Italy. The political situation, though, is also unstable. We saw only yesterday, on Friday, Berlusconi, the Prime Minister, just surviving another one of those no-confidence votes.
Well, indeed. I mean, this is, of course, a demonstration against the economic crisis. But here in Italy, at least, well, the economic crisis has got the face of Silvio Berlusconi, who passed late in the summer the famous austerity budget of $73 billion of spending cuts and tax hikes that have been affecting every single Italian, including, of course, the hundreds of thousands that turned up here. Well, to tell you how angry they are at him, well, there were some that were carrying a card box, a cart of a coffin with Silvio Berlusconi's name on it, and they burnt it just a meter away from where I'm standing. So basically people here are saying, well, this is a demonstration about global change, but before you get global change, you need local change, and with that they meant, well, a change in Silvio Berlusconi's government. Felicity?
All right, Claudio Lavagna keeping an eye on events there, that demonstration, big demonstration in Rome. Thanks so much for the moment. And you're up to date with the latest situation here in Europe. Let's go back now to Doha and to Tony.
Felicity, thank you. Let's do this. Let's return to New York now. Protesters are gathering at Zuccotti Park near Wall Street in downtown Manhattan. Al Jazeera's Cath Turner is there for us. And Cath, I'm not sure to what extent the Occupy Wall Street organizers are aware of what's going on in Rome right now, and specifically some of the violence we're seeing. But my guess is they won't be happy with it. My understanding is that the Wall Streeters are really stressing a peaceful protest, aren't they?
Pretty much, Tony. This has been fairly peaceful for the last 4 weeks that they have been here. But the people here are very aware that this has become a global movement, and this is the birthplace of the Occupy movement. It began actually in June. A small group of people had been planning it since July. They arrived in here in New York, and they knew that they were going to come here and occupy this space. And they are very aware that today, the Global Day of Action, as they've called it, has now spread well beyond Wall Street now and is going right very global. Mostly, yes, it has been peaceful. There has been confrontation with police over the 4 weeks. I don't know yet whether these guys are aware of exactly how violent it's got in Rome, but they're certainly supporting what people are protesting about. That is anger at the government, the political system, the financial systems that they say are rigged to help the wealthy and the growing gap between the rich and the poor. So whether they're happy about the violence, I don't know, but they're certainly very much supportive of the anger and the protest and the frustration that is out there.
So, Cath, let's tie your event to Washington's event now. It's a jobs and justice event in Washington, D.C., with a host of speakers throughout the day on Saturday. Is it much the same for New York today?
A few events planned here, Tony. There's a lot of different protests and groups that are coming together under this Global Day of Action. The people who started here at Zuccotti Park, our cameraman's just going to show you a very familiar scene to probably a lot of our viewers now. We've been here for 4 weeks. Some people have marched from here. They've gone down to Chase Bank, one of the biggest banks in New York City. They say they're withdrawing their money and they're going to transfer it to credit unions and worker-owned institutions because they don't want to support the Chase Bank. From here, there will also be a rally in Washington Square Park, just a few blocks north of here. The big one is going to be at Times Square. That's going to happen in about 5 hours from now, where all the protesters, anyone who has any grievance these days, is going to coalesce at 5 p.m. They're expecting thousands in Times Square, one of the most iconic images of New York and perhaps the world. That is where they wanted protesters want to take off. They said there's a big event happening at 5 o'clock. We don't know what it is there, but people have been told to dress in white, bring anything that makes a lot of noise, instruments, whistles, horns. They are going to be taking over Times Square in a few hours from now and making a lot of noise. This, the birthplace of the Occupy movement.
Okay, let's see how it all unfolds. Cath Turner for us in New York. Lower